Awesome. Okay. Welcome. I call to order the December 2nd, 2025 City Council work session. First on tonight's agenda is an update from Washington County Commissioner Jason Snyder. Welcome, Commissioner.
Thank you. Thank you all for having me. And I know it's labeled as an update, but I think I've shared with all of you that I really want these to be interactive with me just spilling a bunch of information to all of you, though we can do that if you have particular topics that you want to get more information from me about. But I hope you all have been doing well since I last saw you a couple months ago. I've connected with many of you over the interim time period between my last visit. I have one topic that I'd like to make you all aware of, and it is something I've shared with both Mayor Rosner and with Council President Young earlier today. I talked to Mayor Rosner a number of weeks ago, and I think the Sherwood staff are aware of it too, at least in some of the planning community development space. So there is an area that I am getting a lot of communication about that is just south of the Sherwood UGB, near Middleton Drive, and a gravel road that has become a thoroughfare, and the county land use and transportation team has been out and done car counts, etc. There's a number of things that are causing the situation that's going on, but I just want you all to be aware of it as more development is happening in that area that is driving traffic down that road now. The other piece to this puzzle that probably, when I sort of share this, probably won't be a surprise to maybe any of you, but part of what is causing this change in the use pattern of that road is the right turn only diverter on Brookman.
Yeah.
Right. On the 99. And that was an ODOT required thing in the last couple of years. But between that diverter and the fact that Middleton is gravel, and is now the fastest and easiest Google mapped way to get sort of south, this is becoming a real challenge. And this was, I don't think this was identified as an impact for a bunch of the development that is in that area. And I also learned from Mayor Rosner that you all have had some challenges with some of the developers in that space, sort of choosing to not develop lots that are actually, right adjacent to things where they would then need to do a bunch of improvement, which tells me they really don't want to, they don't want to be doing anything they don't have to do. And I don't know what would have happened if this was conditioned on some of the projects, but there's about a half-mile area of gravel road that is just getting really misused at this point from both a speed and a traffic count perspective. So the county staff, the last time it was serviced or the gravel was redone, which they do like multiple times a year, it was already destroyed 3 days later. So that just tells us that, that's between the speed and the volume, it's no longer being used the way it's supposed to be used. And because of the diverter on 99 at the road that's north of there, it's probably not going to change. So I just want you all to be aware of it. And yes, sir.
I just have a question. So when ODOT required the change for the right only, didn't they have to do some sort of work to identify how people who had been turning left there would turn left in the future? And what was the plan?
I don't know the answer to what the story is as to how that happened. I would guess the Sherwood transportation staff might know the answer to that better than me. I don't know the history of why that exactly happened or what ODOT had to do to decide that they were going to do that.
Is there any suggestions or requests the county is making of either the city or ODOT?
Well, so this is where I connected with our land use and transportation director actually multiple times over this. And my last communication to him was confirming that there'd been at least discussion with the Sherwood community development staff that would be appropriate in this space. I didn't get a lot of detail about it. I just wanted to make sure your team knew. And that's also why I made sure Mayor Rosner knew about it. Because this has emerged in the last, 3 or 4 months as an issue. And, to me, it needs to get solved. The county has hundreds of roads that are like this that are also being misused, some of them even worse. The road up to the new Chehalem Ridge Nature Park that Metro purchased that now has hundreds of cars on it is also a gravel road. So that's another one that I would put in the being abused category. And not how it was designed or intended to be used. So this is being, I mean, the impact is coming from
Is
volume.
there another way to get to the nature park? So then how would you characterize it being misused?
Well, it wasn't a nature park before.
So the road's not being misused, it just wasn't identified as something that needed to be upgraded when they decided to make a nature park.
Sure.
If it's the only way to get there. I mean, I wouldn't call that misuse.
Well, it's now being used differently than it was, and
That's right.
I don't think,
Yeah.
because they've not done any improvement to it, I don't think there's been any trigger to, require or be able to require. paving.
Imagine if someone else was making a nature park, Metro would have required some road. Rules for thee, not for me.
So after, Taylor, were you gonna say something before I?
Yeah, I was gonna say, in addition to, a day after that right turn only thing was there, till today, you see people just driving over it, so it's actually made.
Yeah, I've heard.
They've had
For the
yeah.
media?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I've heard.
All the
about
time.
that.
Or they'll go around and then.
Yeah, you see, you can, if you go, we went on a run there and you see tire tracks over it. And so I'm arguing that the county's actually made it way less safe by.
ODOT.
I mean,
It wasn't- it
ODOT,
wasn't
sorry.
the county.
The ODOT has made it way less safe, so is there another way to fix that? Can we get a variance? Can we can we have them put a light in? Again, I wanna look at.
You're not gonna get a light.
No, but I wanna look at other ways to solve it, because if they're saying that has to be there, it's actually more dangerous than, and we could literally I could go film it there for a day.
Yeah,
Show you what's happening.
I guess what I mean, I don't wanna tell the Sherwood team what to do, but I would guess that the Sherwood Transportation Planning, whoever's responsible for that probably knows more about this and the history of that and may know how to approach ODOT on it. I don't know the detail of why the diverter
Okay.
was placed there. Do you have any history on this?
I don't know. Kim brought it up today and I hadn't heard about it. Eric, do you know anything? I mean, from the planning side?
Yes, Stephen Roberts sent me an email maybe last week on it, so that's the first I heard about it.
Okay.
CD director, the restriction to a right turn only is to prevent the new volume of traffic in queuing in that middle lane. And then backing up into the highway, right? So that's why I said right turn only.
Yep.
And I wasn't really involved at the time, but my hunch is that it's right turn only for a U-turn at Sunset and.
But that's a long distance, right?
Yeah.
That's the issue on why that's not what ends up in Google Maps as the recommended way to go.
Right?
Yeah, sure.
People are either going to drive over the median, they're gonna drive on the gravel road. I mean, that's what they're gonna do. So the only options are you either improve the gravel road and do a paved road, you close the gravel road, or you reopen the left turn. I mean, those are the only solutions that I can think of. Like, I don't know that any of them are palatable, but there's not a magic button.
And are we responsible for that gravel road? Even though it's outside?
No, it's a county road, which is why I was involved in this, but it's now
Okay.
not being used the way it should be because, I mean, this is where this is hard. It's not being used appropriately because of all of the development that's occurred.
Residents that are using it.
Correct. A lot of them. The other issue that's at that Middleton intersection with, I don't remember what the other road is, but there's also kind of a dangerous two-way stop sign intersection there, and
Yeah.
I'm working on, hopefully getting that. In fact, when I was out doing a site visit, I almost got hit in my car on that intersection while I knew it was dangerous. So like that tells you, I mean, I'm not a terrible driver, so the fact that I knew it was dangerous and I was trying to be safe and almost got hit, that was not a good sign. So they've done some traffic counts and I'm hoping at a minimum we can at least get a four-way stop put in there for now, but.
So Eric, sounds like you've got an email and. You've
Yeah, I
dialogued
got an
with
email
them and-
last week, Steven, so we can, we can work with, Public Works Engineering to see if we can come up with any, solutions in partnership with the county. Of course, and.
Maybe ODOT.
ODOT as well. I mean, I think everyone here realizes that as soon as we look at ODOT oriented solutions, time cost is gonna go way up. So those would be more long-term solutions.
Yeah.
So I think, short term, medium term, probably be something like Counselor Scott mentioned of, a blockade to prevent people getting onto that road from our side. I don't know if that's palatable from the neighbors on the county side. Their access is restricted. And then I think, so we explore those opportunities for short, medium term. And then long term, I think this really comes down to, during land use review, really making sure that the engineering and plan review is done correctly to the extent that we are allowed to. I think everyone in this room also knows that with all the housing laws, our ability to even say, hey, there's a safety issue here is continuing to dwindle. So to the
Not safety, apparently.
to the we'll do everything we can, of course, and I think we do expect development to continue there in the next 10 years or so.
So the problem will get worse.
Yes,
If it doesn't get addressed.
and I would add to that, hopefully, there's also an opportunity with new development to correct issues.
That would be that was actually why, that was why I asked Stephen to reach out or suggested that he reach out.
Let's, what is the potential, like, let's say that we had put conditions or whatever that what would have been the solve that would have prevented this?
Reimbursement district.
No, but I mean, physically, what would have been done differently? Or what could be done differently to fix the
I'm
problem?
gonna give my political answer first, which is probably gonna be different than his, but with how many homes went in and what the impact is to the traffic, and how much it would cost to pave that, I don't think for the hundreds of homes that went in there, it would have been considered
Unrealistic.
inequitable or an unreasonable taking to require that they.
So paving that road is what you're saying is
Yeah.
the best solution?
I mean, the county, the sort of off the top of the head estimate was that it'd be about $500,000 to do that.
That doesn't seem that bad.
And I
So you spread that over hundreds of homes, like I'm having trouble seeing how that's considered
And
inequitable.
I think, really what this gets down to is a really, in my opinion, is what I'm seeing and hearing right now, a fairly thorough review of the traffic impact. So as soon as basically ODOT commented and said, you gotta restrict this to right turn only. And to be honest, like we can look at the documents, but I have a feeling it really wasn't on anybody's radar that
That should have.
This would be the result.
that
Traffic,
then
yeah.
people would be turning on a small county road, heading out of direction and then back up and so I just so to the extent that we
It's
can
like a
pick up
mess.
things like that, like absolutely would, but really, I think what's happening is people are punching into their mapping system, the fastest way to get to Newburgh from that area, and it's like, don't go all the way to Sunset, just do this little jog and come back, and then you got your U-turn right there. So I think it's a lot, and apparently the county has reached out to Google to see if we can correct that. But without the physical barrier, I'm not sure that Google's gonna pick up on it.
I don't think they do.
Yeah, and apparently that they don't have response, so.
So I'm glad I was able to bring you guys a simple, easy one to solve to begin with. I did think it was worth you all knowing about it.
Yeah, there is, I mean, social media, I hear, in that Brookman area, Middleton, like people complaining all the time about cars going through there too fast, too many, yeah.
So what do you have for me you want to talk about?
All right, pepper 'em, here you go.
I'll let other people.
Oh, when you walked in, I should have got up.
My apologies. It was not a sign of disrespect that I'm tardy.
Well, I told him to come late, so you wouldn't be able to do that.
It's good that Tim's not here. You probably have a few things.
Do you have a topic or you just?
Um. How, we're making some initial progress, I believe, on our Mistip project. And can our esteemed county commissioner do anything to help accelerate our Mistip project?
You know, I don't know what the right word is, allocation, whatever the right word is from a funding standpoint, so it's the 3F. So we have funding for an Elwood Road feasibility study to look at the alignment of Elwood Road through Sherwood West. That's funded and underway now, it's really just a planning. And then we also have the allocation, dedication of funds for Elwood, for EDV as well. And that'll be, we bring in an IGA to you very shortly here, in terms of the terms of that design and also construction.
Do you feel like there's any barrier in the timing or is everything from the county's perspective?
No, I think things are moving. County's been great. County's been.
Love to hear that.
County's been leading, really the project manager for both those projects. So I think those balls are rolling. We did want to finish the Elwood's design or have enough certainty of where ED Road is going to connect in. So we got to make sure to get that study done and then.
There might be a project in the county area, not a city area. I need to learn some more. That's part of the reason I'm late, as I was hearing from a constituent. That I need to learn some more, and maybe I'll give you I know your number, I'll give you a call.
Okay. Sounds good. What else you got you want to talk about?
Well, I appreciate your as we're trying to figure out what to do about some of the ice involved in Washington County. There's been an uptick. Has there been any movement? I know the Attorney General and, you know, they put out a release saying that they're gonna not have people who are using excessive force, and they're gonna possibly that. Are there any things that the county is doing to, and I know there's a difference between cooperating with ICE and protecting citizens, and so that's something we've had a few here in Sherwood. Is there anything in particular we could do more?
I can tell you what we've done and where, and what we're trying to do. I was very heartened to see the communication from the Attorney General and the 3 Metro County District Attorneys, in part because I think what's concerning, at least on the observation side of what's happening, is that it appears like much of the activity involves doing things that are pretty clearly unconstitutional. And that's where I think, you know, if you talk to DA Barton a couple months or a month ago, 6 weeks ago, you know, he was providing answers that were really recognizing that the legal concept of the federal supremacy clause and the fact that there'd been a big test of that in Marion County in the last couple of years, where I think an on-duty DEA agent like ran somebody over and killed them, and there was an attempt to hold that DEA agent accountable, and that was like just thrown out, like it was gone so fast that it was a very clear preemption. They were acting in their official capacity, and even if they were maybe violating a state statute, it didn't matter. And so his answers were that 6 weeks ago. And then I think what you see now is the observations of what's happening on the ground in Oregon, in Washington County, and in Oregon. And the Attorney General and our DA are saying, you know, we're seeing a lot of evidence that suggests that there is unconstitutional activity happening here. And I think that's where they've stood up and said, you know, we're gonna at least try because it's wrong. And to them, very clearly not legal. So that's that's that part. What I would say we've also done as a commission is, and I know you may want to ask me more about the funding part of this, which is fine. The other thing we've done is based on what we were seeing and hearing in the community, the combination of what was happening with SNAP at the time and what was happening with our immigrant and refugee communities was we really kind of concluded there was like a specific planned or coordinated essentially an attack on the most vulnerable people in our communities. And the whole commission, all five of us, felt pretty strongly about trying to do something meaningful to combat both of those things. And so we did devote $250,000 to combat food insecurity and try to deal with what was going on with SNAP at the time. And then $200,000 to support immigrant and refugee communities that were also under pressure in a somewhat different way. That money, I know you're gonna ask a question, that money came from basically our one-time strategic investment plan funds, which we try to not spend on ongoing operations. And we acknowledge this is not an ongoing thing. We're not gonna be able to sustain it on an ongoing basis, but we also didn't want to do nothing. And so that's where we ended up for now. It's not gonna solve food insecurity in Washington County. We know that. Yes, sir.
What was the 200,000 spent on?
That's what I was just gonna ask.
So the direction the commission provided was for, because we wanted to do this rapidly, was to have our leadership team figure out how best to do both of these things. And we wanted it all focused in Washington County too, so not just send a check to the Oregon Food Bank
Sure.
and call it good. Like that was not acceptable to the commission at all. What we figured out though pretty quickly, or the leadership team figured out pretty quickly, is that at least in the case of the Oregon Food Bank, they actually can direct things directly to Washington County food pantries and providers. And so that was an effective way of doing that. And then on the immigrant and refugee support, we did a lot more listening and a lot more work with multiple community-based organizations that are really kind of leading the support of those families that are being impacted. And I don't,
So it's like paying for rent, utilities.
yes, whatever is needed.
Okay.
But we have two and the final decisions on this, I don't think contracts have been signed yet on that one. They could have been, but I haven't heard that report yet. But we identified where that money would be most effectively used to do
Essentially
literally whatever is needed that's, not food related. And put it in CBOs that we trust, who we know are doing really good work in the community, and get the money out the door as quickly as possible. So that's what we did there as well. So I don't know if you have follow-up questions on that. The money that was spent was out of a reserve. It'll have to be refilled next year, so it'll mean less spending out of that account. I still think it's the right thing to do, and
We know all too well what that means, that one time money in this account. Yeah.
there you have it. Awesome.
Thanks for that. No.
What other difficult, are we at time? Anybody?
5 more minutes.
Who's got the last difficult question?
Is there anything from our city that you are needing to do better at your job?
Good question.
Other than the road.
Which we can't afford.
Yeah, that would save me a little bit of time. No, I think you all, I've been really appreciative of my ability to have conversations with Mayor Rosner, and because of the Region 1 Act and some of the other work with Council President Young, I feel like I'm getting good communication. I hope you all feel like that this is valuable time spent still. I had a nice time in your library this afternoon for a little while. I took a little break there. I enjoyed that. But I think, I hope it's going well from all of your perspectives too.
Did you touch upon obviously the passing of the two levies?
I didn't, but that's exciting. I
That was
hope
very good news.
it was very good news. I think for the whole counties, or for everybody in the county, frankly. And it would have been very challenging if they did not pass, and they actually passed, it's a pretty decidedly positive, given the size of the voting and also the somewhat organized opposition from one well-known leader in the Washington County community.
It's great. We are also pleased.
And interestingly enough, this is just a side note, but when I actually looked at the precinct level results, and I don't think that even had an impact very much in their own city, which I find interesting.
So there was one, oh, are you done? Oh, there was one, wave that was made a little bit, and, I know that we need to figure out how to smooth it out a little. And that was, former counselor in Tigard wanted us to work together to more on solutions for homeless and different things like that. And so I know there was some feathers ruffled a little bit on that. And I know we give some money to certain things, and frankly, not every city is got the services and different things around being able to help the homeless. And so have you given any more thought to how we can partner with that, or how we can, do it as a regional solution versus?
Well, I've been helping now Mayor Hu on,
Yeah.
trying both in my former Tiger mayor role.
Yeah.
They've got a relatively, at this point, I mean, I just objectively would say a pretty inexperienced city council.
Yeah.
And, that I'm helping behind the scenes in other ways to just try to make sure that the intercity relationships are well understood as well, and the how to work when you have a concern, how to work constructively.
Yeah.
My sense is that that's at least communicating with Mayor Rosner and with Mayor Bubenek, I think has improved, and that none of that, I'm talking about the relationship, not the on the ground houseless
Yeah.
activity, which I think the Tigard, again, the relatively inexperienced Tigard Council is trying to figure out how to sort of navigate. And
Right.
they're gonna continue to struggle with that. They have now a large facility that is relatively close to their downtown and city hall, and they're gonna have to work through all that. There's
Well, and I
a
think
lot to work
the
through.
new mayor of Tigard, I know him and Mayor Rosner talk often now, and I've dialogued with him a little bit. And with Council President Wolf, they still are, at least as far as Council President Wolf, still interested in having the conversation with the three of the cities around here.
Yeah.
I don't know that it needs to be, led by Commissioner Schneider, I think there's just some conversations that can happen to figure out, well, for one, to know that the parents, like some cities aren't doing anything, and letting them know what is being done or how we are, sharing Megan with them. And
It's important that, yes, that, as we know, the mayors of our region have a strong history of working and communicating very effectively, regularly, a long time. But it certainly possibly was not, the information that was shared in those meetings wasn't shared with everybody on the Tigard Council.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and by the way, I think that is water under the bridge, right? I feel like
Yeah.
things have been repaired and all that. I was more thinking, hey, going forward, but are we going to have those discussions with?
I think you
about how
all
we're doing it?
should, to the
Okay.
point that you made, I don't know that, I don't think I need, there's
Need a
nothing
monitor.
special about me. I think you all,
Right.
I mean, if at some point you wanna call me into a discussion with all of you and say, hey, we've now all talked and this is what,
Yeah,
this is an issue, I'm fine to participate in that, but I made it very clear that I didn't think the first step was, I mean, that's sort of like bringing, I mean, I'm not a hammer, but it's like,
Yeah.
bringing
No.
a hammer to a.
I think it starts with the three mayors. having a
Right, the
conversation.
only pushback I'd have on that is there a bucket of money that's supposed to be addressing this in our Washington County that we need to have access to be able to figure out what the solution
I mean,
is,
I
right?
think that Washington County's paying Megan, who splits between the three cities, where we give 50% to Tiger, 25% to Tualatin and Sherwood, and I think Sherwood, we actually allow Megan to work for Tiger as much as she needs to, because we don't have the needs as here.
And unfortunately, we're in a fairly significant declining funding place for this too. The SHS tax is gonna be, I mean, I've made this point to the county commission a couple times, like the federal changes in the tax code that came with is it HR1 or
Big
the,
beautiful bill.
yeah, if you wanna call it that.
The dollars just are not gonna be sustained.
Right, well, that's a direct change because that affects the state returns. And those state returns are exactly how the SHS tax is calculated. So unless there's a change to, detach from that, there's already gonna be significant, and we already had declining revenue for the SHS collections, both business and personal income. And now you add that in, there's gonna be, my point is just, there's gonna be less and less to share and go
All
around.
right, well, our time with Mr. Schneider has come to an end.
Sorry, thank you.
Thank you for coming out, Bill.
Is it still working for you? You want me to keep coming?
Yeah, no, we want to see you as much as you want to come, because I'm not used to seeing commissioners, so.
That's great.
You've said that a few times.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming.
Great.
Even if you had to drive on a gravel road.
Awesome. And those that are here for the boards and commission, the chairs, feel free to make yourself a plate of dinner and gather around the table.
Technically, I
Then we'll start. I guess I gotta go rattle the page there. Huh? Oh, yeah, you have the table then.
And so was kind of oversight.
Oh, sorry. So it looks like Taylor came back here.
You want to sit next to Renee? Okay,
Well, if you don't mind.
I'll sit any place, I'm fine. I'm not afraid.
We're good friends.
Happy you were able to make it.
Yes.
We're probably gonna need more chairs here.
Those kind of traffic decisions that you know.
Good.
Simulation or something. Proper. You literally just go and walk.
How long did you have to work on it? Good, how are you doing?
Like they always say.
Oh, better than I deserve.
See what the.
It's not like it'd be too fat, at least I got them in there.
And then it's
No, that's fine. I just wanted to get out.
We're talking and I'm like, man, everybody's been a long time volunteer. Oh, good, how are you?
here.
I didn't want to waste the time.
What?
I'm just like.
You did jack it on it.
Yes. Are you care you could buy 3? Awesome. My son could wait, Mom, don't come. And then at the time, my son came to get his like 4.0 certificate when I was on council. And I made him talk. And then Keith embarrassed the heck out of him when I handed him a certificate. Yeah.
So have you done any of your calling busy and then video?
Oh, there's Sean. Sean, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We can.
Just waiting on.
You sound a little, like you have not felt well.
I am under the weather, so I am keeping that here and not bringing it to you. Yes.
We appreciate that.
Yes.
Maybe a little bit too much in the city for me, but I'm sure I'd be able to.
Yeah. What is going on here? So I think everybody is got food or seated, so we're just gonna go around and introduce ourselves. I'm Kim Young, Council President.
Doug Scott, council.
David Shireman, Parks.
Dan Stankey, City Council.
I'm Keith Fay, City Council.
Taylor Giles, City Council.
Renee Browse, City Council.
Ben McAvoy, Chairman of Youth Advisory Board.
Gene Simpson, Planning Commission.
Jen Castler, Sherwood Cultural Arts Commission.
Katie Strode, Budget Committee.
And Cass Thompson, Senior Advisory Board.
Jason Morris with Traffic Safety.
Richard Amici, Police Advisory Board.
Ryan Adams, I'm the city attorney.
Kristen Schweitzer, Assistant City Manager.
Craig Sheldon, City Manager.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for taking time out of your evening. Oh, sorry, Sean, I've got to get used to somebody being online. I so
No
apologize.
worries. Sean Garland, Library Advisory Board.
Awesome. Thank you, Renee. Thank you all for coming and taking another night out of your busy week. Thank you guys for all the volunteer work that you guys do. We are going to just go around and ask each chair whatever you want to share, what you've accomplished as a board this year, what you're looking forward to accomplishing next year, and if there's anything that we can use as we go into our goal setting session, which would be in January. Looking forward to the next year. So rather than call on somebody, I'll take a volunteer first, if anybody wants to go first.
Go right around the table this way.
You can start. Sean, so don't forget.
Sean, you're so experienced at this. How's the
All right,
library
let me get
board?
off of mute here. Yeah, let me find my notes on that. Thanks. Let me got them right here. Bum, bum. Apologies. All right. So, yeah, for the Library Advisory Board, what we were looking to do was really just marry up our goals with the City Council goals as we understand them to currently be. And we really took a look at 3 of the pillars. So Pillar 5, fiscal responsibility, Pillar 6, community engagement, and Pillar 3, livability. So I'll dive into the first one real quick, the fiscal responsibility. And so our goal really in tagging on to the council goal of investing in business process improvements, Our goal is just to provide feedback to staff on the next steps on all of our WCCLS funding and governance for long-term sustainability of the library. So that kind of includes cooperative governance, centralized collection management that starts in 2027, which will be a big deal. And then funding strategies for after the 5 years of the recently passed levy cycle. So that ends in 2031. So, 5 years might seem like a long time, but it's never too early to start planning. So we want to start thinking ahead towards that. Pillar number 6 being community engagement and tagging on to the council goal of improving effective communication and citizen engagement. Really think this is one that we can shine at the library. So really just providing to you, the council, some input on our outreach goals for the library and collaborate with staff to convene community groups to learn more about the work and needs of other groups in Sherwood, foster networking, and informing the library's refreshed strategic plan. And then also, of course, to continue to provide feedback on library marketing and visibility. We believe the library is really one of the central hubs of our city, and where we can to get get the library's name out there and in marketing and bring people into the heart of our town. The library is a great place to start. So love to be able to work with the council more on that, on getting involved in even more of the marketing, city marketing. And the last one, just livability. So council goal for pillar 3 on livability is invest in community enhancements, parks, and public spaces. So continue to support the Shelf, which is our new Sherwood Library Foundation. So fundraising for the public meeting pod. We're very close to getting to that goal, but always looking to continue to support that. And then, of course, continue to seek long-term planning for expanding the library building, maybe a new library building, including a dedicated event space, teen space, as we continue to grow and as the library continues to really meet the needs of our communities, the continually changing needs of our communities as we get into ebooks and audiobooks and all these things, continue to ensure that we can meet both the circulation needs, but also the physical needs of our community as well. Have a place for people to come, communicate, gather, collaborate, and a bigger building, a separate building would be good for our library. So I'll continue to keep hammering in on that one with my little velvet hammer as long as I can. So that is it for the Library Advisory Board. Any questions? I'm glad to take any questions, or I think I saw Adrian in the room as well.
On camera, but I'm here. Adrian is here. Yeah, I knew the library was going to have well thought out goals. That's why Sean was a great one to start with. So I'm looking at this end of the table. How's it going, Rich?
All right, so I'm Richard with the Police Advisory Board again. This year, I would say the police department had a heck of a year. There was retirements, promotions, new grads, just lots of transitions from the staffing side from all levels up to captain. So it was exciting to watch that. There's been technological advances that come to the department, and we are looking at those and talking about what to adopt. And some of them have already been adopted, like the drone program we have here. And then there's just all the continuation of all the regular operations that have been going on, and even some things getting back on track, like the cameras at Roy Rogers, and talking about even expanding cameras and so on. So there's a lot of things happening, and we kind of summarized. We have a list of goals, but I'm just going to read our top goal that we have summarized down as our key initiative that kind of encompasses all those areas. That is, evaluate and endorse key initiatives for the Sherwood Police Department. Examine funding needs of the department to ensure sustainability of current services while planning for future growth and technological needs. Provide thorough review and validation of new policies and procedures. So again, a lot of what we do is we look at policies and procedures and we recommend that they go to council for approval. But we're in an interesting time where our city's growing. We're talking about Sherwood West and things are changing, technology's around our forefront, big staffing challenges, and crucial to all of that is the funding behind all of that. So that's a big focus and goal that we have that we want to pass along to council.
Sure, all right. Jason with the traffic safety. So I think the biggest thing that changed this last year is, we're not a committee anymore, we're a board, which is why I'm here, I guess. So thank you for that, and, we appreciate the added transparency that brings, and thank you for joining us at our meetings. I think a highlight for me from our last year, just also a good example of, the effectiveness of the group. We, over the last several years have received citizen comments on safety at various crossings on Sunset, pedestrian crossings on Sunset. And as those came in, that led to further action by staff. Eventually, studies were done at various crossing locations, and there's even improvement happening on Timbrel right now. So I think that's just really cool to see those improvements happening. And then looking forward, we looking forward to staying involved with the transportation system plan update. There's 2 of us from the board that are on that committee, and providing input for traffic safety for all modes of transportation in that plan. And then just continuing to receive and hear and discuss traffic safety issues as people bring them forward to us. I think one thing that I want to look at this year is that's really been what we have done is receive complaints and discuss them, and it feels very reactive. And I'd like to look at ways to be proactive in addition to that reactive mode that we're working on. So potentially some of the things that we've talked about would be helping to write or update policy on like traffic calming measures, like what does the city like to see, what do we don't see, when do we use them, that sort of thing. We get a lot of no parking requests. There's various ways we can deal with that. Some cost money and some don't. Some are enforcement, some are not. So how do we deal with that and make it so that we're consistent across the board? Or providing input on enhanced pedestrian crossings. I know there's been discussion on RFBs versus hybrid beacons. And so, getting into the weeds here, but some of those things maybe we can help provide some input from the board for those sorts of things. So trying to look for more proactive ways as well as just being reactive, but yeah.
Awesome. I think, I don't know if anybody has any questions. I'd like to get every board chair to give their report, and then we can ask questions at the end based on time. Is that okay? Okay. Hi, Kaz.
Hi, I'm Kaz Thompson, Chair for the Senior Advisory Board. One of the main things that we've achieved is with Sherwood becoming an aid-friendly city, that then gives us access to, through AARP, to a framework for us to develop what we need to do to help the seniors in this area. And the key ones continue to be housing and transportation. And what we're trying to do is like look with potential partners so that we can learn more about potential solutions for supporting the city and how can we provide affordable housing and address the ongoing needs of transportation. And the other thing that we'd like to continue working on is promoting the age-friendly business brochure, and so that we can give that to local businesses so that they know what to be aware of when they're considering the seniors and what their needs will be.
Budget. So the budget, I think the city does such a wonderful job presenting a budget that always meets the council goals, and you can tell there's a lot of department head involvement when preparing the budget, which I think is really appreciated from a citizen's perspective, because it's nice to know that departments have had a say in preparing the budget and what their department needs. So I think that that's been really great to see, and see all of the presentations from the department heads. The city had just moved to a biennial budget, so I know that was a huge lift city for everybody. So we're kind of on our off year right now, but I think one of the big goals will be during this off year, how do we make sure that we stay on track with spending and make sure we're hitting targets and everything like that. So I think it'll be making sure that we stay up to date on the forecast and make sure that we're monitoring everything to make sure that it's what was predicted to be spent and earned revenue wise for year one for the budget. And then the city also does a wonderful job of continuing to pursue revenue opportunities. I know that Sherwood's been extremely successful with congressionally delegated revenue and funding with that. So I think continuing to look for new revenue opportunities. I know there's been some slowdown with private development and some of the citations, but you know, there's always new ways to get money, and I think just continuing to pursue that will always be a big help for the city. And then, again, like I mentioned before with the financial forecast, I know the council goal has always been to keep the general fund contingency above 20%. And I think, the committee has done a really good job, and the city especially, of monitoring that and having to make difficult decisions, even with departmental budgets on, you know, we want to stay above this for financial solvency for the long run. So keeping that goal in there has been really crucial. And keeping Sherwood great. Sure, that's right.
Thanks. Hello. So, yeah, we've accomplished a lot on the Arts Commission this year.
One-page report.
I know. It's one page and everyone gets a page afterwards, but I'll keep it here for now. But we've accomplished a lot. We have a fully operating board. It's a very diverse board. We work very well together. We have differences of opinion and we all come to a really great consensus about what we need to do. So we've done a lot of great work. Of course, the keystone of 2025 was working on the bridge and getting a lot of great input from the community. It was a great process to go through, getting input from the community, working with an artist. And now we're at the end of what we need to be doing. Now we're focused on the medallions. So that's really one of the things that we're going to be moving through, probably about the 1st of March, maybe the 1st of April, I believe is what we're looking at. Where's my?
She's shook her head.
Okay. To get those done, and we've been able to engage an artist to work on those, and we're working closely with her to do that. So that's a really great goal and an accomplishment, right, for 2025. One of our the other accomplishments that they have, it's not on our list, but I would like to say that we've had at least 3 great festivals that we're going to continue. They get a lot of community input, a lot of community engagement, which is obviously a core value for what the city council wants to accomplish throughout the years. And it's been really great. The Lantern Festival, Diwali's going to come back next year. So it's been really great. One of our goals, we were asked to do 2 or 3, so I've limited to that. The first one is our continued funding sources. We're aware there's always budget constraints and we always are looking for creative ways to spend what money we do have. TLT funding is really important for our work. CEP funding that we compete for, that we would like to receive. We've used that well this year by acquiring those snowflakes that you see in downtown. So we want to continue looking and funding that. Sherwood, comparatively to other cities of its size in the area, is behind a little when it comes to art. And if we're going to be competitive, especially given the Oregon financial situation, especially in taxes where well, we won't talk about that. But the tax situation in Oregon, you don't have a lot of money to use. We have to be competitive. And so for those businesses that want to come into Oregon, given the financial realities in Oregon, then we're going to need to compete. And one of those ways we can compete is to have a robust art program, however we can get that. And we feel like it's great. It hits a lot of the core values of council. We also want to do continued relationship building. We haven't done too much with the other boards and commissions that we'd like to. We'd also like to have at least 1 or 2 work sessions throughout the year with council to talk about where we are, talk about what's coming up in what's on your mind. Councilor Mays has been an incredible advocate and he's at every meeting, has a lot of great input. So thank you for that, Councilor Mays. But we really want to operate on scope, schedule, budget. So as a project manager, I need to know what the scope is, what the budget is going to be, and what is our time frame within which to work. And when we can get that, for projects that the council's working on where there is an art element or is just in a pie in the sky idea. If we can get that and we can work around that, we can come up with something really good. And we would want to work with council on it to get that done. So yeah, I think that's about it. I've already talked about our tangible deliverables, but we're looking forward to a great 2026. So.
Jean, what's happening on plane?
Well, I made enough for I didn't, for Eric did, for the council, because,
To everybody.
these are the, and then staff, well, it's going, council staff that way.
Okay.
What? Um, so first I want to thank the council for this opportunity to get in front of you, as you know, this is kind of new, but we wanted to thank you for letting us get in, speak in front of you. We do have a complete commission, which is fantastic. We are diversified, we are engaged, we are fantastic. But as Councilor Giles knows, we've had a light work program this year.
Like no meeting.
Poor Dan, some people.
Poor Dan. Poor Dan. But the state, as you know, which is on the list that I just handed out, the state has put many requirements for us on our future work program. So staff identified some key areas, and I'm not gonna go through them, but these are code cleanups and required by state. So we're gonna have to hit those code cleanup. And there are a lot of translation from subjective to objective as related to multifamily and housing. We have long-range planning, which is Sherwood West, comprehensive planning, implementation of the Old Town Strategic Action Plan, and the housing needs analysis and the capacity analysis. And then we'll be advising on our transportation system plan and the other master plans that are coming through water, sewer, storm. We also, as a commission, identified the priorities from that. And we have to do a subjective to objective review of the tree code, but we would ask that the council consider adding to our work program a more comprehensive tree code update with a full outreach to the community. We realize that there's going to be implementation of the Old Town plan, the strategic action plan that's in place, and that's going to be a budgeted item that's going to have to hit our work program. And the other thing for our work program that came up is, based on new state laws, consider a review of our PUD code.
No, speak minor, no problem. Put that out.
Yeah, just put that out there real quick.
One meeting.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it's a
so
lot on the.
there is
part here.
this is huge. This is not 1 year. This is multiple years. This is a lot of heavy lifting. This is a lot of staff time. This is a lot of commissioner work programs. And I know you guys have had a lot of work sessions, so
And it's also with all of that to understand the priority order and all that, because you know, what are the biggest opportunities, biggest risks? And from my not knowing all the things, but just saying that would rise to the top. What's the biggest opportunity for the community what's the biggest risks? And maybe those are the first things that get.
yes, and we have identified like deadlines when things have to, and staff's in our work session provided which things are going to be initiated and or start dates upcoming this next year, and some are even delayed out to 27 and 20.
It's safe to say staff can convey to council the argument on dedicating time to update the tree code. I'm sure they're probably in the loop, right?
Yeah, our staff is, yeah.
Just say you don't need to tell us here, we'll find out about it in January.
It'll be a lovely opportunity for you to learn.
And I think I know, but I'm just saying.
Just say.
And our newest board, youth advisory, we've been.
So we're a pretty new board, just a few months ago now. Currently, our main goal is to just sort of get ourselves out there. We'll be at the parade on Saturday. We have a few people walking with the city council, and our goals for the next year are going to be for increasing communication amongst youth and like seeking more engagement. We also want to focus on like establishing events that foster community amongst the youth again. And we also want to, in the future, work towards more civic engagement, whether that be through the youth lobbying to city council or even to like local congressional districts. And we want to potentially have a voter registration drive.
Nice.
Great. Very important.
That's all council.
All right, so we're still working off our master plan now, which I believe is almost 5 years old. I know it just goes by. I can't even believe last year we were talking about one thing. And we've been working on it is Langer Park, which many people probably thought was actually a city park. It's not, but it will be, in about 2 years, we're in another year. So along that, last year, while I was sitting here talking to Kristen, I started whispering to her, go, hey, that'd be awesome, we get that in there, and we talked to the senior advisory board. And what we'd like to do down the road is put some senior appropriate exercise type equipment in there. It's a flat surface area, you can park along the street in some places there. And really get some accoutrements for our senior folks. I mean, we've got playgrounds for kids and things, but we thought that was a good one that kind of fit right into what council was looking for. Obtaining parkland is also one of our top priorities, especially with the Sherwood West. So as that develops, we want to make sure that we get property there so we can develop parks. Most of our other smaller objectives fall under there, i.e. like a secondary dog park, and different accoutrements and opportunities, but we need the land first. So that's a huge one. Thank you, council. You approved the plan for the Murdoch Park. I call it a facelift, to get that park a little bit of a freshening up and a few more amenities in that park. And so that's going to be happening over the next 6 months or so. The design, if I remember correctly from our meeting last night, it'll go to the consultant to try and get a design there. And then lastly, a couple other things that we're just kind of involved in. We had a discussion on trails, and so transportation safety. We think trails are a great way to keep people off the street, and then ultimately, we all know, and thank you for the bridge. I think that is an awesome thing, but we still need to link up some more parts of Sherwood. So the Cedar Creek Trail extension, hopefully down to the refuge at some point, would be another thing we'd like to see accomplished. So those are our big things on our hit list, and anything we can do to keep moving forward, we will try and do, and we appreciate the support.
We appreciate all your good support.
Does the Parks Board get updated on land contracts that we have?
Sometimes, yeah, I think we do a pretty good job.
Yeah.
We do try and keep things on the low down just in case something's going on, because we don't want stuff to get out there. But yeah,
There's lots of efforts going on out there. It's good.
Well, awesome. So we've heard from every board chair. Those were great reports this year. That's a lot going on. It's a lot of time that everybody puts in of their spare time to give to the city. So now we'll just open it up for questions. If council has any questions of any particular board chair or board, or if any board chairs have questions for council. Now's the time.
I have a comment and a question.
No comments. I'll take those two.
Comment, thank you everybody for your time and dedication to the committee that you serve on. There's a lot of passion in this space. I love hearing that. I love hearing how your goals for your independent committees line up to the overall goals for the city. So thank you for that work. My question is for you. Has there been any conversation with the city of Newburgh on how they get land donated on a regular basis for parks? So has there been any outreach to see how they do that?
Not from the board.
To glean from them? Yeah.
That's actually Chehalem Parks and Rec.
Yeah, it is. This is Chehalem Parks and Rec. I have two very close people that work there, and so I hear about this, and I'm just curious how they do it. I know, what's the trick? Yeah. Yeah. So just
Very good research.
Yeah,
I'd like to know the answer too.
You want to hear it?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, acres and acres of land that are just donated.
And well, I think they have more potentially available,
They-
some of that
they do.
geography and
Yeah.
political boundaries, but.
And they're, by not being in Metro, by having their own city, UGB, and being able to deal with the state when they're doing expansions. I think it inherently gives them some more opportunity in that regard.
Yeah.
I'd also be curious.
But I think it's a great learning opportunity. I completely agree.
Throwing it out there.
I'd also be curious if there's any part of that reason that's relative to the fact that it's the Parks and Recs district and not the city directly, right?
Possibly. Yeah.
Maybe not, but another thing to find out.
It's just intriguing to me.
I want to know.
I'm extra, if anybody's extra excited about the planning commission, I wanted to make sure that.
I'll just say on that one note, because we are limited to the city of Sherwood, I think that probably the Park and Rec district, if we were to expand and become a district like Tualatin Hills or join one, then it probably would open up a little more land, but
It's also important to note that in the big scheme of things,
Right.
we can accept land outside the city limits as a donation, and we just bank it. And then we can lobby to do strategic things if it's close enough. So that's
so that's
People
not
have
out of
friends.
question.
we love, if someone outside the city limits or the metro boundary wants to donate land, talk to us. That's a thing.
But
For the Arts Commission, what's the best way for citizens to offer their ideas for different types of art around the city?
Oh, wow. We have multiple ways you could do that. Showing up to a meeting would be great. Reaching out to staff, right? We have lots of festivals and we're always open for comments. So I would reach out to Shanda first and staff, and she usually brings that to our board or commission meetings. Reach out to Counselor Mays. Yeah.
And every meeting will accept public
Yeah,
comment.
Every meeting we have, we ask, what are the public
We love to
comments?
get ideas from
We
all
do,
corners.
yeah, we really.
And if there happens to be an idea and then say, for public art, and if there's or ideas about funding.
Yep.
Or.
Yeah, that's how we got the snowflakes. A citizen came in, gave a presentation, and we're like, you know what?
Thank you,
That's
Dave.
actually a pretty great idea. Yeah.
So I know, like city council, we have like a general email and it comes to all of us, but the boards and commissions don't, correct?
No, they do, we do.
Oh, you do. So if a citizen wanted to email the arts, cultural art, then all the members would get the email?
Yep. No, I don't think all of our board members have to.
Yeah,
There's specific email for public comment and it's on all our.
So I believe it used
Goes
to
to
go
the
to everybody,
staff.
now it comes to staff.
And then
we
staff will
forward
send it
on.
out. Okay, so
Yeah.
there is a mechanism.
Yeah, but everyone has an address.
Okay, awesome. Taylor, do you have something as well?
I have a couple things. Thank you, everybody, for your service. Budget committee, we need a new name for contingency funds because, so let's use our slow time to figure out a better word for that, because it just means the money we have so that we don't have to borrow.
Yeah.
It's not fun money. Let's see, I heard on the, from I think the chamber that, there are some people who are interested in helping youth entrepreneurs. I don't know if they've talked with you or not about, and I saw this at Hillsborough where they had small little booths that were partial at the different festivals for youth entrepreneurs. The Parks Department, we had a great presentation by somebody who was super into accessibility in our parks, and frankly, just even having a corner of one of the parks with the new, I know it's super expensive to do the material, but again, if I could connect you or Council President Young could connect you to the person who gave the presentation.
when those connections apart, I mean, the Parks Board has had contact with.
Oh, okay, great.
anytime.
I was just gonna say, as we're looking, either refreshing the plan or what we can do. Cause it's part of the age-friendly stuff as well, of having the services that can be.
It's on the top 10 list.
Yeah, I
On it.
didn't mention it, but it's one of those that we gotta get the land and then to put an amenity in like that. None of our current parks would hold it because you're gonna need parking and things like that, because it's gonna be an attraction
Yeah,
to bring people in. And so it's down the list just because we gotta get a place to put it.
Quick, easiest things that this particular person, so Counselor Giles and I Craig and Kristen met with a resident and a vendor who was the vendor on the Cooks Park. Came to meeting with us. And it was one of the like, I don't say easiest or quickest and cheapest, but one of the things she said that could be done could help immensely more soon than a brand new park is having part of the walking surface, the playground surface be turf rather than bark chips.
Yeah.
Bark chips for many disabilities, just impossible.
Like field turf, like what's on the soccer
Yeah,
fields.
yeah. So like walking wheelchairs, people with walking devices, they just can't do bark. And so it's very eye-opening. I mean, this was a very eye-opening meeting. But the more than meeting with the resident that came, she brought this vendor, and this vendor has volunteered to come and show the Parks Board options whenever they have time in their schedule for a work session.
And the thing that
If
was
you're
key
interested.
for me is because I've been to those fantastic, fully accessible parks that are phenomenal. And she was like, if we could have a corner of this park that, and some of the things in there, by the way, are accessible. There are musical elements, or there were some, you just can't get to them. And so it was like, well, look, if we just had this little area that was turf.
Surface, yeah.
Or, and so it may not be, hey, yes, ultimately we don't have a park in Sherwood West. Anyway, that was
It all comes down funding.
I know, yeah, again, I just, it was so enlightening for me, I thought, well, I'll mention it, and then on the library, are you meaning marketing about the library services? I hope, everybody, I think knows we have a library, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the goals is marketing the services then. Sean, right?
Yeah, talking about, ebooks and Canopy and some of the services that maybe people don't necessarily associate with libraries, some of the more modern conveniences. And then even talking about, internet, how valuable having access to computers in the library is for some people who don't have that luxury at home. So just, continually reminding people that the library isn't just about physical books on a shelf.
Okay, fantastic. And then on the traffic and safety, a question about, one of the questions I had was quantifying how much more safe is it, right? When we talk about improving whatever, I want to know, is it this much more safe or this much, right? Because we have, as you've heard, we have limited funds for everything. And so, and I know when we put in those crossings at the middle school, we were doing it to code then, right? Or to whatever the best thoughts were.
The old middle school?
Yeah, the old middle school, sorry. The Hawks. And so it's not that I'm against it. I just want to know, hey, there's studies that have been shown that it goes from this amount of safety to this amount of safety, or reduction in accidents or anything like that, because we've got to figure out, we don't have an unlimited bucket. So I want to make sure we're getting the biggest bang for the buck is my only comment on that. And I think the rest of my comments have been asked already.
So again, it's questions. Leah gets good questions, but questions. Any guy can not just speak for Ken, but you can ask each other questions.
Yeah.
Sure.
Open floor. And if there's any staff sitting behind that feels something's been missed and you want to chime in, let us know.
I'm just curious about the youth board, since you guys are new. First off, are all the seats filled? Is it all high school students, or is there any adult, any middle schooler? Just kind of a quick snapshot.
Yeah, it's all high school right now, and I think all our spots are filled. We have, all of our terms are good until I think June 3rd, something along those lines, and then people can reapply.
And that's kind of the goal, is that as you graduate high school, you kind of age out and move on, and there's a freshman coming in who'll apply and go for the next spot.
From my understanding, I think it's sort of strange because we have a variety of grades, and obviously some people will be moving forwards to college afterwards. And so right now we just have everybody on a 1-year term.
Renee might be able to.
Yeah, we have a freshman, a sophomore, 2 juniors and 2 seniors. So a good mix of students, right?
3 seniors.
3 seniors, yeah.
And when we set the guidelines for that, I think we set it as an age and not necessarily a grade, because we wanted to acknowledge that not all students in our district go to the traditional school, and so if they're homeschooled, maybe they don't acknowledge a grade, or so it's an age, I believe. And yeah, like 18, then they would age out.
And really trying to figure out, is there a way to integrate the youth advisory committee with other committees as well to get that youth perspective?
I would say absolutely. I just told Shannon, I'm like, okay, we need to talk to you after this.
Yes.
Because we have a lot of initiatives going on between now and probably 2 or 3 months from now that we really need youth input on.
Some of our boards have a spot available for a youth, if there's a youth who wants. Does anybody have a youth right now? You guys still have it. The library still has a youth, and you guys still have a youth. Okay. I know we have a position, on the police advisory board can have a youth if there were one that wanted to apply. We haven't had one in many years.
They went through a brainstorming session and a goal setting that came out of it, and the enthusiasm about really being involved in this community and getting the youth voice out there is very, very strong with this group of young people. We are very blessed.
I'd love to have a work session combined with them to hear these things.
Yeah. They're doing it.
Don't read out. Move on.
An amazing group of kids. And when is the date that they're going to do the cocoa on the bridge? Has that been decided?
Starts this Thursday.
Is it this Thursday?
It is.
Like they're gonna serve cocoa on the bridge?
Pots,
Yeah.
yeah.
Isn't
Do
that
I
cool?
need to cross the bridge on Thursday? Get cocoa?
Yeah.
They want to spread holiday cheer.
Yeah, holiday cheer.
Nice.
That's awesome.
It's a
Yeah. They're very enthusiastic. Wonderful, wonderful group.
I know, that's awesome. I love that.
So are you on, do you guys have a liaison on the TSP update?
We have, one of our members is there as an at-large citizen.
Okay. 'Cause I would say those trail connections that you were talking about on the transportation plan, because that's gonna be coming through hearing pretty
Yeah, we
soon.
talked about it last night a little bit, so if there's something that we can endorse or help with, we'd be more than happy. The goals from our master plan, fall into there with trails, 10-minute walk to get to any park for any citizens. Trails are a huge part of that.
Be nice to make sure that the Parks Advisory has at least read into what's on the TSP before it comes to hearing, or a comment before hearing, so that we add anything that we need to add.
Yeah.
I think one of the things we want to make sure is in there is obviously there's the bigger, larger trail projects like future facing, but there's probably a lot of little infill ones that are, that we probably have on lists that we've had for years, right? There's a 100-foot gap here, or, if we just made this connection through this hedge, who knows, right? I'm just saying there's probably a bunch of those things.
Road, little short stretch.
And we want to make sure that any of those would be in there, I would imagine.
We just need to put the dotted lines on the TSP so that we can start building it into the capital improvement project and the TCCS.
It's harder.
I think that's where, even if we are a ways away from making any progress on big dollar items, because we're waiting on UGB expansion, or we're waiting on funding or whatever, like, in the meantime, over the next couple of years, maybe that's where we can pick away at some of these smaller things, and I know that Parks Board's been talking about that.
I feel like this meeting is so important, like, we're all working our silos for the most part, right? But there's really cross information amongst boards and commissions that is useful and helpful.
And then I'll just put my note out there that says, please be mindful of what legislation is doing, that state mandated housing code updates and some of the other things that we are addressing now as we go through this process are things that were voted on by our representatives, or our representative may have voted against it, but it's still passed through legislation. And if you're not aware of what these are, I've handed them out. You can look up the Senate bills and House bills that have been already gone through legislation that will definitely impact our ability to have self-governance and apply the code that we have very much fought for.
And I know our staff is now following the rulemaking that are coming on. I would say, at least I feel the city of Sherwood has been really ingrained in those. in talking to some other elected officials around the area, I would bring up one of the housing bills, they'd be like, oh, we haven't heard anything about it. So I mean, I think Sherwood thankfully has really kept a pulse on what was going on down there and give lots of testimony. And our representatives and senator have been great at hearing us on those housing. In fact, Senator Yaron Misson has voted no, even though they still passed. She's still.
And I'll say that staff has been doing a great job of bringing this stuff to us, and Tam has always, Mayor Rose has been very involved. And as council, we have had, I can't tell you how many dozens of conversations just in the last year about all this legislation. We've got 2 things coming up on a special election here
Yeah.
next month.
Yeah, I've
that are really-
been around a couple of years, and
Yeah.
this is probably the strongest council and staff that I've experienced. And kudos to your staff for the amazing work they do in bringing these things up and that working with us to help protect our community. And
Many of these will impact, possibly could impact the Sherwood West concept plan that we spent 5 years working with our community to buy into finally. And it could just,
Could significantly alter it.
but yes,
And let's be clear, Sherwood West is gonna be different in a lot of ways than a lot of current Sherwood, just because we're gonna have a lot more housing diversity, which is a good thing. We need more housing diversity. We need some more multifamily, we need some more affordable, and the challenges that we're experiencing, that we're gonna navigate, is just, in the big picture, you do a sewer master plan or a water master plan or a street master plan, assuming certain numbers, certain number of toilets being flushed on a regular basis, certain number of taps being turned on and off. And when someone can come in and do a lot more density, which might be a great project, but it wasn't planned for that, then there's these unintended consequences that we're trying to also kind of figure out.
or we have to plan for the worst case scenario, even if it's not, which is gonna be higher cost.
Yeah, that raises.
And even though in Sherwood West, we plan for certain zoning to accomplish the different housing types that we want, some of these laws now can come and undo that and change it, where now we didn't have the middle housing. Middle housing, Jen, how long have we been talking about middle housing?
Like it just.
Yeah, we do away with the plans that we had for middle housing, which is gonna allow housing for, I mean, in Sherwood, we raise our kids and then we have a big house we no longer need, and then people are leaving Sherwood because there's nowhere to stay, to downsize to, and so we plan for that. And now that can be upended by some of these.
I want to capitalize on something you just said, or provide a little statement that you just said. I believe you said you've been around a couple years,
a couple.
right?
Yeah.
20.
A couple 20.
I just want to call that out. That's a long time of service on the planning commission. And we owe you a debt of gratitude for your time and talent for that. Thank you very much.
Yes.
How many years have you served on a planning commission in your 2, we added the 2 runs?
22-ish, something like that, yeah.
Yeah,
We
so thank you.
have tremendous talent, around this table, on different boards and commissions, and the longest serving, volunteer on a board of commission, certainly.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well,
I'm elected, it's.
we get paid the same though, don't we?
I would want to ask is if city staff or council have started to develop relationships with certain types of developers that build those kinds of projects that you'd want to see in the community, because that's the only way you're going to be able to get out in front of these.
Trying to make a lot of,
Yeah, I've had a couple of not only discussions, but kind of brainstorming just to say, hey, what is possible? Because I don't want to try to push. First of all, anytime you say any kind of housing, everybody already has a picture in their mind as to what they mean by that. And frankly, I'm just looking for different options and different things. And so and some of it is going to be changes to the code. Some of it's going to be changes to, how things are financed, or whether the land is in a land trust or something like that. But I want to look at it all, because there are communities that are doing it.
Yes.
But one of the most successful, I was surprised to find, was Boulder, Colorado. It's been doing it for 30 years. And you don't think of Boulder, Colorado as being this amazing spot for affordable housing, but they have more than 1,000 units that they've built up over the last 30 years. And they've been able to keep them affordable. And it's one of those things where so I had a call with somebody from the Boulder City Council and just said, can you help me understand what you did and how you got it and how everybody's bought in now and stuff like that, just to give us ideas, because again, this is all down the road and it's not even an official goal or anything. I'm literally just trying to educate myself and trying to figure out, somebody somewhere has to have cracked this nut, or if they haven't cracked it yet, we've got to crack it. We've got to figure it out, because what Kim just said, or President Young just said was, when those people sell their house and leave, a lot of them are at the peak of their earning power. We need them in our restaurants. We need them in our businesses. We need them to volunteer for our committees, right? We need all of those people that are in that stage of life to be able to stay here until they get into the age-friendly category.
And then what about
And then we want them-
Kids.
Yeah, and we want our kids to be able to move back. Yeah, that's the other thing. I've heard so many people that say, I'm moving to where my kids and my grandkids are, and it's like, oh, I just wish we could provide that here, because, and so, you know, what Councilor Mays just said, part of it is variety and part of it is doing some other things different, so that we can't just have $800,000 homes as a starting price.
How many of us have college age or gone to college who don't live with us, who live in Sherwood? None of our kids.
I mean,
Can't afford it.
there's two sides. One's affordability, but one's also, I don't know a lot of
Desirability.
23-year-olds
Want to come back to
live in a
the
bedroom
small community, yeah, that as well, yes.
Yeah, but sometimes they, right around the time they have their first kid or second kid, they go.
when you get to
"Oh,
that age.
I'm
Yeah.
looking for good schools.
No, I'm with you there. I'm saying you're 30 and up, totally with you. That
Yeah.
Yeah,
20
which
you're
is where
probably-
mine are approaching, and they're now looking for their
I
first house,
know.
and they're.
My daughter was visiting with
Can't
me from
afford Sherwood.
downtown Portland, and we walked into the Safeway and she took the bag that I had and she put it over her head. She goes, if someone I know sees me, just shoot me. And then I walked into Lana Painter.
That's a good one to run to, so. All right, well, we have about 2 minutes left, if anybody has anything else. Otherwise, we'll.
I'll just say thank you to the council and the staff for, and I think we're all chairs here, and I think we appreciate how much support you give us and how open you are, and the fact that you let us come here and talk to you and stuff, it's huge.
I mean, this was a new thing over the last couple of years, which I think is really been.
It's much appreciated.
Yeah, very appreciated, so thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. With that, we will call the meeting adjourned, and we will meet for our regular meeting and 5 minutes.